Hello, this is Todd Luck, and normally I like to talk into the camera when I do these sorts of videos, but I actually rely on some natural light coming through my window in order to shoot, and unfortunately it is a very cloudy day, so we're just going to do this format for this particular review where I'm talking over photos and clips. So this is going to be a review of Tarzan, the animated movie. And no, it's not going to be a review of the Disney Tarzan movie. I've actually already done reviews of all three of their movies, and I thought they were really good. You can look up that review if you're interested. This is a review of the 2013 movie that had computer-generated animation, and this is a movie that a lot of people haven't heard of. It is available to watch for free on Tubi. And so this is an animated movie aimed at kids. However, this is not your typical like Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks sort of animated movie. There's no singing, there's no talking animals, there's no cartoon whimsy. This is simply an adventure story that's set to animation. This is a foreign production from a German company, and it was released internationally, but not in the United States for some reason. It made $44 million on a $25 million budget, and certainly probably would have made more than its budget if released in the United States. I really don't know why it wasn't released here, since we would probably be the biggest consumer of a Tarzan movie, but it is what it is. Again, you can watch it on streaming. This movie does get a lot of flack, and some of it I do agree with, but we're going to start with the positive. And we'll talk about the things that I enjoyed about this movie. So first off, it is a gorgeous movie. I recently reviewed the Tarzan and Jane animated series on Netflix, and the second season was actually able to do some really nice things with the jungle. But this is a movie budget, so it just takes it all the way up to 11, and it looks beautiful, and the way it lets Tarzan move through the jungle is just amazing. And the animals look nice too. Mostly what you're going to see in this movie are gorillas and or apes, but they're well animated, and occasionally we do get other animals as well, and they look very nice, and that is very important for a Tarzan movie, obviously. I have more mixed feelings about the stylization they used on the character designs. I just didn't really get the art style, but there are times when it does look quite nice, and it does get the job done for the most part. And I thought Jane's character model was pretty good. I did like it, even though it is very generic. I thought they did a great job with her hair, which is not easy to do in CG. There are tributes to past films in here, including a tribute to the scene where Tarzan and Jane are communicating for the first time in Tarzan the Ape Man. And in this version, they even throw in the line, "Me Tarzan, you Jane," which was actually never in Tarzan the Ape Man. And they also did a tribute to the swimming scene in Tarzan and His Mate. And this time, of course, Jane is wearing clothes, but it was still a very nice touch. And Clayton is also here. He's a minor character from the first couple novels who was reimagined in the silent movies as a villain. And the last few reimaginings of the character have kind of saddled us with him as a villain, and that could possibly be a tribute, but it could also just be coincidence. There's actually quite a few tropes that are pretty common that it's kind of hard to say if they're tributes or not. Every time I see a waterfall jump, I always think of Tarzan the Epic Adventures, the TV series from the 90s, but it could always be pure coincidence too. And so what didn't I like about the movie? Say it with me, kids. It's the story, as usual. So sometimes this is described as an adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes, and I would disagree. There's only one movie that tried and successfully adapted the first novel, and that is Tarzan of the Apes, the 1918 silent movie. Greystoke tried to adapt the novel in the first half of the movie, but unfortunately the last half did not, and did its own thing and turned the movie into something that was very different than Tarzan. Disney used some elements from the novel in their animated movie, and I think they did a great job, but it was an original story that did their own version of the character. So the very few elements from the novel that made it into this movie essentially amount to a couple sentences they could have gotten off the synopsis on the back of the book. This is very much a new version of the story and a complete reimagining for the character. And so, what did they come up with? Believe it or not, it begins in outer space with the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. And the scene is actually really well animated. The dinosaurs look great. So, our main character starts out as a young boy who is pretending to be an ape named Tarzan when he plays. His parents are looking for that asteroid. For some inexplicable reason, they believe that it could be used as an energy source, and it is as big as a mountain range, but for some reason they still have a hard time finding it. But then they just happen to fly into it when they're leaving Africa by accident, and of course the plane crashes and his parents are killed, and he is of course found by the kindly she-ape Kala, who raises him. And so he's a boy when he's raised, but he does forget that he's human and starts acting like an ape. But then he meets Jane, and she helps him remember a little bit. He starts, communicating in very rudimentary me Tarzan sort of manner, and the two team up to stop Clayton from trying to claim the asteroid's power. And that's it. The entire movie is just them fighting an evil businessman over a big rock. And so the fact that they created a bunch of dinosaurs for this movie and then thought the kids would be more interested in the asteroid that killed them probably tells you all you need to know. The action is very kiddie down, and I just don't think this story is all that interesting. And honestly, I am not quite sure why it's so sinister that an energy company would want to find an energy source to replace fossil fuels. But there's quite a few things I don't understand about this movie. There were supposed to be these guardian monkeys that were protecting the asteroid, but they never actually do anything in the story. The asteroid causes natural disasters in some kind of inexplicable way. It's always hinted at that it's sentient in some way, but that's never explained. And it can mutate the jungle around itself, but that only is used for a couple minutes. I mean, we're talking like it creates monsters, which you would think would be a good premise for a kid's movie, something exciting for Tarzan to fight. But again, it's only used for a couple minutes. I don't quite understand how this movie was put together. I'm sort of wondering if there was a lot of things that were cut out of it, maybe things that were just left on the cutting room floor they never animated, or perhaps the cosmic asteroid was used better in a previous draft of the movie. I didn't find Tarzan to be all that interesting of a character. He does fall in love with Jane, which is good, but the interesting arc that he had in the novel of this baby who was raised as an ape who discovers he's a man is not there. This is a boy who forgets he's human and kind of remembers a little bit. He can speak some broken English, but we're not sure if he can get past the mentally stunted phase that we see in the movie. He very much is more in keeping with the Meet Tarzan stuff than he is with the novels. But what this movie lacks is those big action scenes with all the animals that made some of that old Me Tarzan stuff work in the movies. And the action here is just very kiddie down. He has a knife, but they're afraid to let him use it. There is that one cool scene that was in the trailer and in the movie where he grabs the snake as it's striking him, which was really cool and, in my opinion, the best scene in the movie. But this movie just needed a lot more stuff like that in it to make it more interesting. And it always mystifies me why this keeps happening with Tarzan, because the novels had no problem thinking of fantastic villains and lost cities and dinosaurs and all this stuff for Tarzan to fight, and we know that those stories have thrilled children for generations. So why do the movies only use a couple elements from Tarzan of the Apes and never use anything from the later novels that would be much more exciting to do in a movie? Imagine if the Batman movies only used what was in the first appearance of Batman, right? There would be no Robin, no supporting cast other than Commissioner Gordon, no supervillains, no Joker, no Catwoman, no Batmobile. It would just be a dude in a costume fighting street hoodlums and evil businessmen. It would get real boring real fast. And I hope the next Tarzan movie can come up with something interesting for the character to do, whether that's an original story like Legend of Tarzan or Disney, or something from the novels, which I'd love to see on the big screen. All right, that's it. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, see ya.